because I had problem with stuttering, and it's something that I really want to overcome lah. So I think I practiced 40 hours just for the 7-minute speech, but we only have a 1-week window. So people normally have like 6 months to a year to prepare. I had about 3 days because yes, I'm doing it for you all.
Hello everyone, welcome to成长 Kopitiam. I'm Mei Sing,
I'm Irene,
your host today. Here at成长 Kopitiam, there are no success formula, no standard answer. We believe that every person's growth comes from a real life story after another one. Before we begin today's conversation, remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming episode. So today, our guest is someone many people know through his different roles in business, community service, and leadership. He's a farmer, entrepreneur, and community leader from Keningau. And over the years, he has served through various organizations and more recently stepped into public service and politics. From growing up in Keningau, studying in New Zealand, and choosing to come home, to taking on family responsibility, overcoming his struggle with Stuttering, stepping into leadership, becoming a husband and father, and eventually entering public service. What were the experiences that shaped the Wilson we see today? Welcome to成长 Kopitiam, Wilson. So Wilson, many people know you today as farmer, entrepreneur, and community leaders.
Yeah.
So before all this title, what kind of child was Wilson?
So I grew up in Keningau, a little town in the interior of Sabah, and I was there since I was a baby till I was 17 years old lah. So I was a child which have a good mix of two worlds, where it's a urban, suburban little town, but yet still having a bit of a kampong life. So I have the urban luxuries that we have to simple things like having KFC. I grew up when the KFC just came in. So I grew up at a time where there was no KFC. There were still horses and cows walking on the street till now having the town being very big. But there's a very nice contrast. And I still remember times when my grandfather would bring me to the farm, teach me the things that he knew when he was a kid. So things like how to plant corn, how to plant these things. I learned life lessons also through that. You have to be patient. When you're fishing, you have to be quiet, things like that. Very hard to get that now in an urban setting, which is also why now I brought my family back to Keningau. So I hope that I can give them that little childhood as well, experience.
Yeah, I remember you telling me one day your grandfather even taught you how to look at the soil. Okay, this one got a lot of judging
yes.
too.
One's a skill. I think when I was 7 or 8 years old, they were very trusting with 7 to 8 year old kid back then. They give you a parang, say go there, go dig at that specific spot underneath a mango tree. It's like, okay, this type of moisture you dig, sure got judging. Then you figure out the dig, yep, got judging. Now I have to teach that to my kids, so it's a bit tricky as well because it's a different time now. If you give a big machete to a 8-year-old, 7-year-old daughter, it's a bit scary lah, running around. It's gonna be a very scary thing. But yeah, I grew up with those environments, and I still love it. I will still try my best to, if I can go take some time off to go fishing lah.
Yeah. Okay, how about your parents?
My parents, okay, my late mother's from Klang, and my dad grew up in Kota Belud, born in Kota Belud, grew up in Sempona, and then both my parents moved to Keningau for work because they are both doctors. One is medical, one is dental, and then they got transferred from KK to Keningau back in 1988, so quite a long time ago. So when there, after a few years, they set up their own clinic. But yeah, my parents being from West Malaysia is quite good as well in the sense that I, again, have a best of both worlds. I have the rural setting. I have also some upbringing in Klang Valley, KL side, because my mom made sure that every time we have a holiday, we will go back, because she said she don't want the kids to not see the city or not have a city life. So she wants to make sure that we have both life experiences. So now we are like all of my siblings, we are very comfortable in both sides, which is also a testament to my mom. Like, I have a very good foresight to ensure that the kids don't just live in a bubble. But I think that's a blessing in itself. She knew how to give us the life experiences that we never thought that we need. But now it's good.
So looking back, what kind of value do you think your parents and your grandparents gave you without realizing it?
So one of the things that I really hold true until now is love your neighbor as yourself. This is a Bible verse, but it holds true for my whole family and also my extended family as well. So we always try to make sure our neighbors is taken care of. So I think that's quite important. Not to make sure that they are very well off, rich or everything, but if they have need, we'll try and help. And this very simple line, but it carries through to everything that we do as a family, and also I do in terms of my work and my NGO life. So I think that's one thing. So love your neighbor as yourself.
Okay. So like I remember you saying your dad is one of the first 4 doctors in Keningau, right?
Yeah.
So does it bring you anything, like you see your grandparents bring you to the farm, so your dad brings you to...
So my dad is quite involved in NGO work, so particularly Lions Club. So when I was 8 years old, so he brought me to Pensiangan. I think it was like a 6-hour drive off-road. When you go into really interior in Pensiangan, then you can see this is what is really rural life. There's no electricity at that time, no running water. The water, you get it from the river. At the time, the river was still quite clean. So at 8 years old, my eyes really opened up. I was like, okay, there's a different life out there. Then we also see how I'm blessed, even though we have not much at that time, but we were blessed. And again, go back to how that value, loving your neighbors. So bringing Lions Club in there, we brought a medical aid. So we have a 2-day medical camp there. So my dad was the medical doctor in charge, and then the other Lions Club member would bring food aid. At that time, if I'm not mistaken, we brought coffee seedlings so that they can plant coffees and grow. And if I'm not mistaken, they built a coffee drying rack. So that really put a very strong impression on me, and then which is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. It's still there. I want to help as much people as I can, especially in the interior of Sabah, and bringing in things that normally people in the interior don't have access to. So things like access to funding for educations and things like that. So that's where I put a lot of my time and effort to.
So like, I'm curious, like you say how many hours? 6 hours?
Should be 6 hours at a time.
So did he prompt you, okay Wilson, now we're going to a kampong, about like that? Or you may not know anything, I just go into the car and then just wait?
Oh yeah, definitely prompt, because it's a 2-day thing. You're gonna be showering in the river kind of thing, so definitely have the prompt. But growing up in Keningau at that time, we went to the river, have picnics and like that. So it's a norm thing already lah. So it's just that have to prompt that, okay, you'll be sleeping on the ground. There was no tent camp.
No tent.
No, there's no camp at that time. So it's Balai Raya. You sleep on the ground with your dad. That's it.
Still inside the Balai Raya?
Yeah. It's still inside Balai Raya. There was no sleeping bag. Pretty sure they were invented, but you can't easily buy it. So it was a tikar, which I still found it last week when I was cleaning out my house. The tikar and a blanket. So that's it. So it was just one very thin tikar, and me and my dad and a blanket, and so that's it. But it's 8 years old, I can do that. So now I don't know if I'm ready to bring my daughter in. Now it's quite easy. So now the roads are very nice already. Now different type of rural project we'll be focusing on already. I think medical is fine, but we have to probably bring in more urban things like how to use AI kind of thing, because even there you got internet line already. So the things have shifted quite a bit.
The needs.
Yeah, the needs. But still have to love your neighbor as yourself. Have to figure out how to bring in things like that to go in. Yeah.
So you grew up surrounded by all the healthcare thing.
Yeah.
You know, your
My wife
dad
as well.
is the doctor. Your mom is a dentist.
Yeah.
So how about you? So like, why did you decided to study business?
Okay, so when I was in secondary school, so after I finished secondary school, and then I went to matriculation in Labuan for 1 year with the intention to study medicine. So that one is like the most common question they'll ask us, like, okay, are you going to be a doctor? that time was the answer is yes. And then now it's like, why are you not a doctor? So it's like a normal question. But when I was in metric, that was the point where I decided like, this is not really what I wanted to do. And it's something I can do, but it's not really what I want to do. So at the time I was quite passionate, or I like management related things lah. So business was one more thing. So when I sat down with my parents and discussed, then my mom said, okay, if you want to do this, it will be good to have a different experience, not just in Malaysia. So I was fortunate at that time. My aunt was in New Zealand, so I packed my bags, went to New Zealand and studied there. And yeah, I was there for 5 years. Now come back, did accounting and management there.
I remember you told me that the first thing you landed, you tell yourself already, I'm coming back.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Okay, can you share the experience with us?
I was very passionate to not leave Malaysia at the time. I don't know why, but now probably I know why. I just want to help the community grow. But because that was the ultimatum, so you want to study business, you have to leave us. Okay, so I left. And then the day I arrived, I still remember it was end of June. It was winter, a bit cold. And then it was a bit raining, drizzling. And I still remember, I told myself, okay, as the door opened at the airport, I say, I'm going to go home. That's it. I'm not going to stay here. I'll be going home once this is done. 5 years later, true enough, I packed my bag and went back home lah. But at that time also, I'm not too sure why I really want to come back home. And also, I think you also asked me like, what was your plan to go home? It's like at that time, I still can't figure out. But I just wanted to come back to Sabah, specifically Sabah, not just Malaysia, but specifically to Sabah. And I said I want to help this community grow. How? I don't know. I will figure it out when I get back. So I had a very good experience there in New Zealand. I must say, things that we study, comparing it with any other country, let's say you study in Malaysia or you study in UK, generally the contents are roughly the same. I also noticed that the things that you do and discuss, topics are roughly the same. The point of difference is the people that you meet, the experiences that you get. That one, I really advise people, if you have the opportunity to go to another place, it doesn't have to be another country, but just another place. It's a very good experience. So you can see how other culture run their lives and run their city and how they operate. Then when you come back, then you can see, okay, it really opens up your mind. So you have a different perspective. And if you meet other international friends, you really have extra perspective as well. So it's quite good to actually go out. In Sarawak culture, they have this thing called berjalai. I think that's the term. They will ask, the family will say, okay, you take 1 year off to go and explore lah. Then after you come back. So that's the thing, they will still ask them to come back, but they also encourage them to go and explore the world. So I think that's one thing that I really thankful for my mom to let me go and explore the world lah. But I still came back, so I'm back here.
But during that 5 full year lah, memang langsung don't have one moment and saying like, oh, maybe I should stay.
No, not really. There's the moment where it's like, okay, maybe I should get a PR lah, but I haven't got that yet. Not really any time that I really want to say. I contemplated working there for a while, just to have a different working experience, but eventually still have to come back. So there was not any time that I really want to stay back. So when I met my wife, at the time girlfriend lah, or when I was still about to become a boyfriend girlfriend at the time, I also told her straight, I said, okay, because at the time I was about to come back to Sabah already. I said, okay, if we're going to be together, I'm coming back to Sabah. And if you're going to get married, this is like, we just about to start, I have to talk about marriage already. I have to be very open with it. I don't want to waste each other's time. They said, okay, but I'm going to come back to Sabah, so are you okay with it or not? And then thank God she said yes lah. So 10 years later, we're here together with kids, 3 kids, 7, 4 and 2. So yeah, so I was still very much focused on coming back at the time.
Okay.
She said yes to the relationship. I don't know if she straight away said yes to Sabah or not. So the first time she came to Sabah was, I think, 2 months into us dating. It was a sandbag, and then she flew back to Penang, and then she came over to Sabah for a week. That was the first time she came. Straight we go up to Keningau, have a look at the place, have a look at KK City. I think the first culture shock that she had, even before she arrived, was she wanted to send something to me from Penang. She asked for my address. Then I said, I don't have address. I was like, huh? How come your house? I was like, really? It's an unnamed road. I got this house is in this plot of land and this town in Keningau. I was like, huh? There's no address? Like, no. I said, okay, just send it to my dad's clinic. So get my dad's clinic's address. Then she couldn't understand. But then when she came to Keningau, I was like, oh, you're not the only one. Everyone doesn't have address that. Yeah, this is a norm, especially in Keningau. If you're not staying in the terrace house or a taman perumahan, then you won't have address. Even then, I think now also. I think now is better. The postal service will reach your house. Back then, they also don't quite trust the thing arriving to your house, so they will still send it to the shops. Shops are very safe. They will arrive the thing. But now I think when you buy things from Shopee, Lazada or Taobao or whatever, it will arrive lah.
Okay, so we talk back about what did you share just now. If you go and study abroad, every place you will learn something. So what did New Zealand taught you about that you can relate it to Sabah?
I have this belief that Sabah and New Zealand is very much alike. So just looking at the economic point of view, the top 3 economic driver for Sabah is oil and gas, agriculture and tourism. So if you look at New Zealand, same thing, oil and gas, agriculture and tourism. But the agriculture is different. So Sabah one is palm oil, rubber, more on commodities lah. Whereas New Zealand is fruits, kiwi fruit, dairy, and meat, poultry, and sheep lah. Okay, and then tourism. But you can see how advanced they made the tourism to become, and also how efficient their agriculture is. So imagine they produce milk, ship it all the way from New Zealand to Sabah, and it's still cheaper than our locally produced milk. So how do they do that? It's something that we can learn. And also the tourism products that they do is something that we can learn. And also in terms of the indigenous culture there, so there's Maori here, as we got interesting, like if we have our main Dusun Murut, and then we have others Bajau, so we have a lot. And even within our KDM, we have also a lot of sub-ethnic as well. But there is the indigenous people here, and also indigenous people in New Zealand, which is the Maori. The Maori had a lot more organized push to get the Maori culture back. And I was quite fortunate when I was there. I think it is where it was just about to pick up. So now it's quite well established already. But I think during the 70s, 80s was very, very much suppressed. And then only within the last 20 years, in the early 2000s, you can see we have Maori channels starting to be popular. That is something that we can learn also lah. And then it's a very strong acceptance of the culture, because if you sell your culture, then people will come and explore and take in the culture, which is also something you do in tourism lah. So something we can learn, try to mimic. How can we be more like New Zealand? Even though they're geographically isolated, it takes 13 hours to fly there, but people still want to go there. I think that's something we need to learn.
Okay, so now you really come back already. Yeah. So what did you do?
So the first year, I was taking care of my mom. My late mom wasn't well, and then eventually she passed away. But that year, I think was a good time to, other than spending time with my mom, I also had time to explore and see what I want to do, because at that time I still couldn't figure out. So I started to attend different events in KK, because Keningau there's nothing much to going on. So I came KK quite often, once a month or so. And then I'll look at the time Facebook, see what's on Facebook. I will attend things like, at the time there's a thing called webcam, where people come, share ideas. They will present. We have a topic speaker. They will present his topic, and then we discuss. So it was quite an interesting group of people, like-minded people to be there. Then I also joined a business pitching competition. Again, this is a time where I'm just exploring SATA, and then eventually joined JCI. It was a good place to build character and also leadership, and also good friends are there, so you sort of just stick around. So that whole year was me trying to figure out, and then eventually I slowly took over the family farmer plantation. And then the following year, after my mom passed away, 2014, then I had the opportunity with my friend to start a vegetable farm in Keningau. And then the following year from that, I started a cafe. And then the year after that, we had a agriculture shop with self-fertilizer with my business partner. So then that's where my career is lah. But through it all, I still really wanted to give back to the community. So through JCI at that time, did quite a few projects here in KK. So one of it was Red Saver, which I started now, and then this is the 12th year running already. I didn't plan for it to run that long, which I'm still surprised it's still going strong. But yeah, so those are the things that I did.
Okay, so what did the first cafe taught you?
first cafe taught me is to not going to F&B. That's fine.
But you still have a cafe now, right?
I still have it.
Yeah, that's why I wonder.
Before I went in, someone told me already is don't go into F&B if you're not ready for it. I did, and then now I will echo the same advice, like if you're not ready for it, don't go in, because it takes a lot of time. But it teach you a lot of things that can't learn. So things like how to build a system, how to work with people, how to hire and fire people. Hiring is easy. Firing is to try. You have to tread the line, how to figure out, and it's actually it's a very important skill to learn. I think year on we have to let go of someone, and because I did that very decision, the 3 other staff that was still there from the first one, suddenly became 20% more efficient. Because someone else was bringing it out. So yeah, it was like suddenly it's like, okay, it was good. So then suddenly that 2% became a better asset. But yeah, sometimes you just have to bite the tough pill.
So what made you willing to open another cafe again now?
It's continuation of the brand. I think the opportunity was there, and then I still wanted a place to hang out. That was my main goal as well. I just want a place to hang out. So we opened a cafe, but I have a business partner that's running it full time with it. So I can run and do.
Okay, so you don't need, like, because the first cafe you don't have the time there, but then now you got another partner.
Another partner to be inside lah. So I help out a bit for the first few years, and now they are running it lah.
What makes you realize, like, leadership I like?
And I think very early on. I think that one is when I was in the school. So when I was school, being from small town and people know your parents and things like that, so you have to be a very good boy. A lot of opportunity then was presented because they know I can do work lah. So in the secondary school, I took up a lot of leadership positions. Ketua Pengawas, a lot of presidents for clubs, Leo Club. At one point, I think the softball team, which I'm not that good at. So I took up a lot of leadership position, even though I'm not good at, but they know that I can organize the people to do the thing. And then when I was in New Zealand, I was quite active in church, and then when I came back, JCI, NGO, and also Lions Club lah. So that's where I realized, hey, I'm quite good at this. Even not working hard at it, I'm quite good at it, and I quite enjoy it. It's just that now I have to figure out, make a living out of it lah. So still trying to figure out.
Yeah, actually, Wilson told me one thing is very interesting is he used to practice speech through a wall.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Get Wilson now.
So okay, let's do the timeline. I joined JCI. 14, I was in the board of director lah. Then in 2016, I had a bit of a break. But then at that time, I felt like, I was like, okay, there's something that I really want to overcome lah. So which was doing public speaking, because I had problem with stuttering, and then that's where I have to practice lah. When I was 7-8 years old, I have to practice talking to the wall lah. So then I can now articulate my word properly, but back then very hard. And then when I was in secondary school at the time, when I was Ketua Pengawas, you have to go up and talk lah. That's where I sharpened my kung fu skill lah. So I know how to get other people to go out. So the whole time I was there, right, I can lead the meeting or whatever, but I don't need to go up on stage. I know how to kung fu my way out. But then 2016, I was like, I really need to solve this problem. I cannot just be avoiding it ma. So I was okay, let's join the public speaking competition. Join that. I had to make sure I do my best lah to win. So I think I practiced 40 hours just for that 7-minute speech, not including prep. Prep is one thing. So the 40 solid hours was just me repeating the 7-minute speech, making sure my lines are correct, how my hand is going to articulate, which part of the stage I move around, just to make sure I win it. Then for Sabah's level, I won. Then I represent Sabah to go to the nationals. That one I think that was quite interesting. Out of the 4 contestants, one was a thought master, and then another one is a guy who does public speaking for a living. That's his job. And then I did the competition, same thing. I spent another 30-40 hours to practice the same 7-minute speech, and then by the blessing of God, I won lah. I won that. So then to me, the winning was, I think it's nice, but the self-accomplishment, that one was the thing that I felt the proudest lah. Winning the thing was like, okay, I know, but I said, okay, I overcome this really. Something that I really am proud of myself doing it. And I also encourage people to find something that you really need to break the barrier and just do it. And then from there, also a lot more leadership opportunity came about. Yeah, so they just that one decision. I said, okay lah, I better get over this, which is now.
You first met JCI first, and then after that, all the other NGO come. So what does leadership mean to you today compared with you first joined JCI?
So when I first joined JCI, I saw leadership as more like a position there. And then I realized there's not too much about the position. It's more on how can you use where your position is, you are, to move the things that you need to move. So you don't have to be the leader at the position. You can be a follower, but also a very good leader follower to try to move through. Because I have the very interesting opportunity to work with some of the NGOs and community where the leader weren't experienced enough, but I'm part of the committee. So how do you negotiate and make sure this project runs even though the leader can't deliver? So it means how can you be a follower leader? So I think that's something you learn over the years, that the skill of leadership doesn't link to your title. I still think that there is a lot of room for improvement in terms of teaching younger generation about leadership. And I also felt that the younger generation now, it seems like they don't really care, but I think they are doing leadership slightly different really. They can still influence people to do things even without title. I can see the shift in the way leadership is moving towards too really. It's more, they don't quite see the title anymore. They're moving towards more relational oriented leadership really. I mean, the title is still important. You still need someone to be the leader. Whether or not he's a good leader, it doesn't matter already. But if you have a team that's strong enough, you put anyone up there, it will move with you.
Yeah. We talk back about JCI. You had the opportunity to continue climb higher in JCI, but then it shocked me lah. Oh, Wilson, no, not going up.
No, not going up.
Why?
So one is there was not a very strong family support for me to go up to higher lah. But also on a personal level, there's not a very strong link back to my community really. So I think at area Sabah chairman level, it was the level where I felt that I can still do things up at a higher management level and still touch the ground in Sabah. But after a bit more higher, I felt that okay, it doesn't quite align with what I want to do really. I subsequently also realized once I'm up there, kind of like really can't touch the ground. And then I was Lions Club Keningau Mandarin president when I was area chair. So even at that time when I was area chair, when I go back to my Lions Club to do project on the ground, I felt very happy. I was like, wow, I can touch the ground and I can see people. I do this project is a success. This group of people that I can physically see benefit then makes me happy. So it's a very, very direct connect. Not to say that being up there is not important, but I miss seeing it happening right in front of me, and also miss doing it right for my community in Keningau area lah. So I felt that I was okay lah. I think sometimes you have to be intentional with your decisions, even though it doesn't look nice, doesn't look logical for other people, but as long as you can accept it and it's what you really want to do, then you just have to bite the bullet. So I think you go back to leadership, the one also, you have to figure out how to lead yourself as well. Don't get other people to lead you. I mean, if I follow the train, I will eventually go up as well. But I have to very consciously not go up. It wasn't a hard decision because I knew what I wanted already. So I think that was quite good. I think it was hard to keep answering people. It's a bit harder to say no to people because I like to help people. So
see, today you're letting go the JCI, everything. So you're not only making decision to Wilson, the leader, you're already making decision as a husband, father of 3. So how has fatherhood changed you?
It gives another perspective of love. It's very hard to quantify because this one is unconditional love. Like whatever your kid is doing, you still have to love, even though it told tantrum. It taught me how to say no. Not no to the child. That one is easy. no to you're asking me to do training. I was like, I can't. No, I don't want to do this because I want to spend more time with my family. So I have to make a lot of conscious decision to not do certain things anymore, and also to let go of leadership positions, and also sometimes business opportunity like the cafe that closed. the first round is mainly because I want to spend more time with the family. Really changed lah, because then it changed my decision making already. It's not just for myself. I have to think of my family, my wife, my 3 kids. So if I'm doing this thing, this business or this NGO related thing, will it affect my time with my family? Will it affect the way my family view me or not? So it's a change in the dynamics of how I do things lah. Yeah. So yeah, fatherhood definitely changed. Being married is still fine. So it's now a different way of living life lah. But yeah, I think it's just a phase of everybody's life. But I really enjoy this phase. Tiring. I think both of your parents as well is very tiring.
Yeah, because you recently just moved the whole family back to Keningau, right?
Yeah.
So what's the difference, like alone in Keningau and now the whole family in Keningau already?
It's different because
instead of you drive back to look for them.
Yeah, so when my wife working in KK and my family is here, I go back Keningau, I'm like a bachelor, I can do whatever I want. So now my whole family is in Keningau. Then the schedule have to work around them as well. It's a big change, and it's also a change how me and my wife manage the family lah. But yeah, it's something that we learn how to negotiate.
So what's the biggest reason behind why you want to move them back to Keningau?
Spend more time. That's it. That's the main thing. So last year my wife changed job that doesn't have to physically be in the hospital to work. Then the opportunity came about. I was like, hey, okay, since it doesn't have to be attached to a hospital, then why don't we move back to Keningau? That was what my wife mentioned, which is I'm quite happy. Then the main goal was also to spend more time, because at the time was they can only get to see me 3 or 4 days in the week, because the rest of the time I'll be in Keningau. Now I go do my work, whatever, I'll still come back home, and then they'll see me lah. So even though I'm busy, but when they wake up, they see me. Before they sleep also, they can see me. So there's more contact time. There's more time for me to spend with them, which I think I'm very happy with this arrangement now.
So is this the childhood that you want your kids to have? Just like you, a bit urban life, a bit city life?
Yeah, I think that's good, because then they will get to see different side of life in Sabah. Because I think being in KK for almost a year, I mean, I travel but I stay here as well. It's very nice, but then you don't get to see a lot of rural environment. But if you're living there, then you have a different perspective. So I think it will be good for them to have different perspective and also different view of life. They can always come back to the city, it's fine. That one is easy. But I think the other way around is a bit harder. You imagine getting a 35-year-old to go back to rural life is going to be tough. But if they grow up in rural, come to a city, and then they want to go back, it's fine.
Okay, so let's talk a bit about the politics and the public services.
Yep.
So what made you feel like you're ready to serve?
I think I was already serving through NGOs lah. So this political shift, me being into politics, I think it's just another platform to go in. But the main difference is, being in politics, you have the opportunity to be more involved in policy changes. I think a lot of people look at political party as it looks a bit dirty lah. I think that's a bad rap lah. But if you look at it as a more point of view, and it's actually a very good way to help the country and Sabah to move forward in terms of policy that will change long term. So that's where I see myself in politics. But the base of it is actually just a different way to serve life, because I also realized, being an NGO, Keningau, you don't reach out to a whole group one. It's like a subsection of groups. But somehow, if you're in politics, the groups that you are helping out or you meet is very different really, which is a fresh realization for me as well. So when I start to be active, I think 2 years ago, I joined 2020 during COVID, but I really become more active 2 years ago a year before the election. So a bit more, very much more active 2023, 2024. Then I really got to see, wow, this is a big opportunity, have not been tapped, and there's a lot of things that still need to be done on the grassroots. So then I felt like, okay, this is where I should focus for the next few years. Then probably you want to ask how I eventually become one of the candidates in last year's election as well.
Yeah.
So our president quit his ministerial post, and then eventually UPCO left PH. So then the opportunity came to us, to all the Bakans, where the president said, okay, if there's any duns or or candidates that are ready, let us know. But we only have a 1 week window. So the information came on Monday. That Saturday is nomination day already. So people normally have like 6 months to a year to prepare. I had about 3 days because Monday I got the call. Tuesday I went and discussed with my wife, my team from Akko Liawan, and then we went down to HQ to discuss with President. And then Wednesday we got the green light. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3 days only to play the election. So it's the 2 week campaign. After the first few days, get the ball rolling already. It wasn't too hard already. It's just that if we had more time, I think we would have a stronger team, because even on the first week we were still trying to recruit people to help us because we only had 3 days. We couldn't have enough time to get people to come in to help out. So that one took a while. But it was a good experience.
So regardless of the election result, right, what did the experience teach you about yourself?
The experience taught me about, there are a lot of things that I still don't know. I mean, I know that already. But going into the elections, I realized there's a lot more things that's like...
Really a lot?
A lot more things.
You didn't know that
deep.
It was
a lot. I didn't know it was that deep. I was like, wow, this is... Okay, these things should be... Still a lot of things I have to learn and figure out. But I think that's part of growth. And I think Datuk Philip Lasingbang, he was the election director. He said it quite well. It's like, wow, you went through the baptism of fire. It's like suddenly just like jump into the deep end. Normally people take 2 or 3 years actively in politics before go into become a candidate. This is like me, and then like suddenly they go in already. But he said this is him 1 week in during the campaign, the election period. You will go through this stronger, and I think you'll be a very good leader. So true enough, I go through it already. Obviously I lost the election, because if not, then I would be somewhere else already doing fun things as a YB. But yeah, so I went through it already. Then I learned a lot of things, and I also know where are the pain points and where are the things, the opportunities for us to do more work to help the community.
So way before you nominate yourself as candidate, I mean, is this part of your plan, like joining the party?
Yes. Not 3 days lah.
You thought you had more time.
I had more time lah, because earlier in the year we already know that my dun is not going to contest. So I was already helping the neighboring dun to do. But I was like, okay, never mind. We help get more experience first. Then only we will try to lobby to get my dun lah. So maybe 5 years later lah. They didn't know that I helped halfway, and I was like, hey bro, I have to do my own video now. I was like, but yeah, so but now he's my ketua bahagian lah. I'm the timbalan. But it was always in the plan. Even 2 years ago, I was discussing with my ketua for the dun, Puan Nancy. So we already discussed even that, like if the slim chance the opportunity came for Liawan to contest under APCO, we said, okay, if they need a female candidate, she'll go. If not, then it will be me. So even that we already discussed already. So that's why we're quite close in doing work. But yeah, the opportunity was there. But yeah, always wanted to go up. Yeah. But if you say, was it the plan when I first came to, it's probably not lah. It's something else lah. But now it is law. So yeah, we are working towards the next round lah. See if we can get.
So looking back, Wilson now and Wilson 10 years ago, you think you see the difference?
Oh yes, different. 10 years ago was when I wanted to challenge myself to do the public speaking.
Speaking.
So I think now it's a different phase of the challenge already. So after last year's election, now there's a different expectation already. So this is something I have to learn also lah. It's people expect you to now sort of like a micro YV kind of thing. They will look up to you for things which I'm still figuring out how to negotiate this thing. But yeah, it's definitely different. And then I also view leadership differently already. And then like what I said, it's a different chapter of the life. So this one, I think from post-election, suddenly it's a whole different chapter. It's exciting, it's nice, but like I said, a lot of things to learn, a lot of things to figure out what to do.
Still learning.
Yes, still learning.
Now imagine your children, after they grow up, become an adult lah, and then they want to search. Actually, what my papa did when I was in primary or when I was in kindergarten, what you want them to remember, what you have, like what legacy you have built, so that they can have like something like the shade under the tree, like
Yeah. Look at the camera. Yes, I'm doing it for you all. I'm doing it all for you. So even though helping people makes happy, but that's why I be active in politics as well, because then it can do things that will impact the next generation as well. So you change policy means you change the direction of the whole government, and from then you can see it will be it's a long-term change. And then I think JC taught us quite well. You want to have long-term sustainable change in your community. That's what I'm doing, but now at a slightly different platform lah. So yeah, I'm doing it all for all of you. For 3 of you, 2 boys and 1 girl, 3 of you.
Okay, so our final question. If you could sit down and have a cup of coffee with the younger Wilson, the one that practicing the speech on the water one, what would you tell him today?
Just keep doing what you do. 加油. Just keep doing what you do.
Like what you are going to tell William.
Just keep doing and just practice and just have fun with yourself, because the struggles are always there. I think the pockets of joy is the one that you will remember. Even though I struggled through talking the wall and things like that, the joy was getting to overcome it. I think that's the thing. But yeah, keep at it and always stay curious. I think that one is embedded in me. I don't know who taught me that, but I was always naturally just curious lah. So I think I'll just tell my younger self, continue to be curious, keep at it, and like I said, don't give up, just keep going.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode. So Wilson, thanks for joining us in our成长Kopitiam, and thanks for sharing your journey so openly with us. I think what we have learned today, like what Irene said, is it's a reminder that growth doesn't always come from having everything figured out. Sometimes it's come through responsibility that we accept, so planting, farming, the challenge that we face and the choice that we continue to make along the way. If today's conversation gave you a new perspective or something worth reflecting on, please give us a like on this video and share it to your friends and family. And remember to subscribe to成长Kopitiam so you won't miss our upcoming conversation. Thank you.
See you next episode.
Bye.